Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily. Ronnie Rance alongside Tommy Chrysan on this Friday edition, Friday game day edition, as high school football is underway in the state of Louisiana. We're rocking and rolling full slate, even though the weather's nasty. Big games. I know I'll be at St. Thomas More at Karen Crow High School this evening. But LSU with a home game tomorrow, 50.5 point favorite against Nichols. The question is, will LSU cover that 50.5? Colonel's played, was it Louisiana Tech last week? Played them a little close.
25-17.
Yeah, I mean, that's, now Louisiana Tech, I mean, they're not very good. Okay. But, to play Louisiana Tech to 8 points, do you think
In Ruston?
What's that?
It was in Ruston.
On the road? I mean, I'd be interested to see. I think that's going to be, right now, gun to the head. I think I got to go Colonels, man. I mean, that's a lot of points against a defense that for LSU, who Brian Kelly himself said, hey, we're better, but we can't put too much on their plate. I mean, he's basically saying, like, temper your enthusiasm about our defense. We're better than we were last year, but by no means are we where we want to be in the future. So he's telling you that he doesn't think the defense is great. They obviously proved that in the fourth quarter. Kind of a letdown game. You got to believe they're going to be up big and then kind of pull the plug, let people play in the fourth quarter. It might be an opportunity for Nichols to kind of get that garbage score or something, to kind of burn your line. So I don't know. Personally, I'm leaving it alone. I'm not going to bet this game. But if I did, I think I would have to take the Colonels in 50. That's a lot. One score, and, you should probably be able to cover, with a 55-7 or something.
Well, I that many points you got to take it. My good buddy, who's no longer with us, Dave, who I worked with out in Las Vegas, he was a professional gambler. He always used to say, man, if the game starts and you're winning 50-0, you got to like your chances, with the point spread. If he was still alive, there's no doubt he would take that points. And so I think if you want to bet the game, I don't care how much purple and gold's in your blood, you got to take 50 or 51.5 points. And then if LSU covers, you can be happy that maybe they got the offense clicking on all cylinders. But, Nichols has won the Southland the last couple of years. Tim Rebo's a good, old teammate of mine at Southeastern. He's a good coach. He's been there. He's got a good program. He has used the portal well in the world of Nichols and the Southland Conference. They're going to be a decent team. I don't think it's going to be 73-0 like Ole Miss beat Furman or whatever last week. But I don't expect Nichols to win. And, for LSU's sake, let's hope it's not close in the second half.
Sad story, right? John Emery, who here he is, sixth year and all this stuff, and he has been hampered with off-field issues, on-field issues, injuries, and whatnot. Has for him a breakout game, 10 carries, 65 yards, something like that. Had the big 39-yard run at one point. And you think, okay, this is going to be a great feel-good story this year. Emery from Destrehan High is going to finally live up to some of the expectation of that five-star running back, the number one running back in the country out of high school. He's going to fit in nicely. What a great addition. We haven't really talked about him much in the offseason leading up to the first game, any of that kind of stuff. Hell, a lot of people didn't even know he was on the team. And then all of a sudden, on freaking Monday, the dude tears his ACL.
I got a question for you. I've read every possible thing about this. They said last November he tore his right ACL. I've yet to see if he retore the right one or he tore the left one. Do you know the answer to that? I mean, I've read like all the advocate articles and a couple of guys online with Twitter, X, whatever we call it, and nobody has said regardless, it's a terrible story. Scott, he's one of two people who were on the 2019 national championship team that is still wearing an LSU uniform. The other being running back Josh Williams. So it's a tough story because he overcame a lot. Some academic struggles he survived and got better, and then the injuries. And technically he can play again next year if he applies for a redshirt thing this year, an injury thing. And he could play next year. But is he willing to pay that rehab price? Like, most fans don't understand the rehab price that I'm referring to, and especially when you got to do it again. I mean, That remains to be seen, and nobody's going to ask him to decide that today or tomorrow. But it's a tough story for a kid who overcame some obstacles, and he's loved by his teammates. He's the old guy out there. They look up to him. He's been there, done that. He's got a championship ring. It's just a tough story.
So this is technically his 6th year as an LSU Tiger, and I would say this, Tommy. Yeah, he's going to be back next year
Do you
because
think?
unless he's got something else to go do, you know what I mean? Like, if John Emery going to go be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, does he have that bullet, or is he just going to be like, us and regular folks and just trying to find a job? If he's just trying to find a job, then of course he's going to be back, because if he comes back, he's going to get paid by LSU. They pay players now. Remember, they're pros. So he's got a job to get better. His job is to go to rehab. His job is to get healthy to play another year. And the reality is that, yeah, there's no reason that the NCAA, if he takes care of his academic issues and makes sure he goes to class and stays academically eligible, that they won't give him a 7th year. I mean, they gave a guy, an 8th or 9th year this year.
Nine. He's
Right.
a 9-year tight end at Miami.
And this is the exact perfect case for that rule, right? First game, 10, that played one game, boom, to ACL. So I would anticipate that he's going to be back next year. And why not? Because, again, if he goes to the rehab, he's going to get paid. He's going to have a job. And now, does he go through the motions with the rehab? How helpful is he going to be next year? Is he, we don't know any of that. But to the question of whether or not he's going to be on the team next year or not, or at least try to be on the team, I think the answer is yeah, because quite frankly, you got a job if you at least try.
And based on Brian Kelly's comments about John, he would welcome him back, in my opinion. So we'll see how that goes. Let's hope if that's what he wants to do, let's hope he can, rip through the rehab thing again and get it done. And even if he's a couple of carry a game guy, he wants to be a part of the team. But like you do, the big thing is what you said. He's going to get paid. He might get paid more by LSU next year than he would starting some new job in Baton Rouge or back in Destrehan or whatever, So it becomes a financial decision where we didn't have the NIL and all that stuff. You might say, hey, I'm a move on, which many a player in the last decades at LSU, you had them lingering injuries. Said, okay, I just got to move on to another chapter in my life here. Football's done. May not be done for John Emery. And if that's what he wants, I hope he accomplishes what he wants to accomplish. And he's already graduated, according to Carl Dunn. So we'll see.
So very interesting how what the depth chart now is doing. There's a name that is now taking over his spot in the depth chart. It's a little bit of a surprise.
Juwan Johnson, who's from Lafayette Christian. Is that they still call that Lafayette Christian? Didn't they have a name change?
Yeah, played for the States last year.
When he was a sophomore, he was a quarterback. I was in a TV truck on a broadcast of a playoff game between LCA and Newman when Newman had Arch Manning and they had the Bordelon kid, or he was a younger guy on the offensive line on that team, who's now at LSU. And I worked that playoff game, and LCA blew Newman out of the game. The game was in Lafayette, blew him off the field. And I, that night, thought Juwan Johnson, who was a 10th grader, was a better athlete, better quarterback than Arch Manning that night. Okay. And he had a lot of great teammates. They were up like 42-0 at half. That's the kind of game it was, 35-0 at half. And now this is that same kid who I know is an incredible athlete. Now, can he, and if Brian Kelly and the offensive staff think he can transfer to running back, then go for it. Who knows? I mean, they're going to put him there. I'm sure he agreed to do that because like any other kid, he wants to be on the field. We'll see what happens with that. But, so that's an interesting move, a move that's caused by injuries. The injury to Emery, they need more depth at the running back. He's a great athlete. Let's see how it works out. And just what the doctor ordered, having Nichols this week, in all likelihood, there's a chance they can get him a carry or two or more because they should be way up in this game. And they could get him a running play or two just to get his pads popped a little bit, as opposed to if they were playing Bama, he probably wouldn't get in the game at running back or Ole Miss or whatever. So we'll see how that unfolds this weekend in Tiger Stadium.
Best part of the LSU traditions for me is still the Tiger Walk down the hill. That is, it doesn't matter the game. Sure, some games it's more magical than others, but and even though it is Nichols, it's still the first home game of the year. You haven't done the Tiger Walk in, you know, 10 months or whatever, so you kind of miss it. Um, but that's the tradition that of all the different traditions. Now that they don't bring Mike the Tiger in the cage anymore, thanks to PETA, and they don't put him in the cage, they don't bring him into the stadium and all that. The Tiger Walk for me is a lot of fun. And oh, by the way, just like everything these days, anybody can be a part of the Tiger Walk. CAF is selling that these days. LSU football selling that. As far as raising money for NIL and to pay the players and all that kind of stuff. You want to walk down the hill and be a part of that pregame and everything? There's a number you can pay to be in the back of that line and walk down the hill following the team. So anything's possible these days. Access is all it is stroke that check for that access. But that may eventually take away a little bit of the luster of the Tiger Walk. Having a bunch of Tiger fans that write big checks walking behind the team, but still pretty cool. Last night, NFL got started, and the Chiefs going for their third Super Bowl title in a row at home, the defending Super Bowl champs, took on the Ravens, who, with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, definitely looked like one of the teams to beat in the AFC. It was a fantastic game. I mean, we're spoiled. The first game of the year, Chiefs and Ravens, was a fantastic game. Lamar Jackson looked like an MVP candidate, threw for almost 300 yards, rushed for over 100 yards, looked like he had the game tie-in potential touchdown or go-ahead touchdown. And when the last play of the regulation and the tight end's toe. Look, I'm convinced, Tommy, looking at the replay a million times, that if he had on a different shoe, it would have been a touchdown. It looked like the shoe he had on had just a little too much on the front. It was a little too long. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I think so. It's a game of inches, right? Maybe less than an inch in this case. But, and they say that they were going to go for two. Had that been called a touchdown, easy to say that after the game, I guess. But Harbaugh said, "Hey, we would have went for two to try to win the game." But Chiefs are trying to win the third straight Super Bowls. You said that's never happened in the 58 Super Bowls that we've had. Nobody's won three in a row. People have won 3 out of 4 years, or actually the Steelers won 4 in 5 years. But so anyway, it was a great lid lifter, I guess, for the NFL. The stadium was packed, field looked great, and Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs find a way to get it done. And so NFL season is here.
Xavier Worthy, what an acquisition he was, the receiver out of Texas. Had a rushing touchdown, had a receiving touchdown. Was a special player over in Texas, and the rookie in his first game, 2 scores, and looks like a nice weapon for Patrick Mahomes, no doubt about it. But what a heck of a game! Well, we get another one tonight.
Hey,
The Eagles and Packers from Brazil. We told you on the show the other day all the issues with that game. They both were green. That's the colors of one of the biggest gangs over there. The players have been told to not leave the hotel. But the Eagles, all that said, are a 2.5 point favorite over the Packers. Obviously, the bigger story is off the field. How the fans are going to be. Are there going to be any issues with while in Brazil and Sao Paulo? Brazil. But are you buying the Eagles this year? I mean, a lot of people think they could be, getting back there to the big dance.
well, both of these teams are forecast to be playoff teams, be in the postseason. And the story of Jordan Love with the Packers is it's got its weight and legs in that story. Eagles have been good for a few years, and Jalen Hurts, SEC guy, all that stuff. So, it's a 2.5 point spread that wise guys think it's a coin flip game. Field goal at the end could be the difference, and I just hope nothing crazy happens with all the stuff we read about the crime rate and the gang stuff and all that. Hopefully, they just play a football game and everybody will be safe. And it's a Peacock stream only. There's no linear network here for the game. So if you don't have the Peacock app, which I have, and I love that app. I've had it for many years before some people even knew what it was, and that's a great app, but not just sports, but for everything. That's the only way you're going to be able to watch that game tonight, or you're going to follow it online on the Score app, which is the greatest app in sports history, or other places you can follow the score online. You won't see the game. So Peacock only, Eagles, Packers, and we'll see what happens.
What's so great about the Peacock app outside of the games? What do you watch on there that you love?
There's movies, there's like old time TV shows, there's a lot of documentaries similar to Netflix, but Dan Patrick. The reason I got it is because Dan Patrick's show switched to it a few years back, and back then it was like $2.99 a month. Now it's up to like $7.99 a month. It's still a deal. But like whenever you got golf on NBC, anything on NBC is also on Peacock. Whether it's golf, it's Formula One, whatever it might be, you watch it on your phone. I actually have the Peacock app on my smart TV. So tonight, I don't know if I'm gonna be home, but if I was home, I could put Peacock on my big smart TV and watch the game, in 4K with perfect sound, all that good stuff. So I would tell people, not just sports fans, but check out they do like a free trial, and if you don't like it, whack it. But I use it a lot, a whole lot.
NFL on Sunday, the Saints noon in the Dome against the Panthers. Hey, this is one of the few games I think this year that they're going to be a more than a field goal favorite, and that's what they are. They're a 4.5 point favorite, depending on where you get it. The Saints against the Panthers. I know you don't believe in them. You and I kind of both don't. 7.5 is the over/under. Panthers might, on paper are the worst team in the league, so an opportunity to start and feel good. I think the Dome will kind of. It's probably two games this year where the Dome, no matter the record, is going to be rocking. The opening game, because there's always optimism and everybody's excited about opening game, and then later on a Thursday night when they retire Drew Brees' number or don't retire his number, they put him in the Hall of Fame. Saints Hall of Fame, and Sean Payton is there that night as the coach of the Broncos. There's 12 staffers, including Sean Payton, former Saints staffers on that Broncos team. They're all going to be in the Dome on Thursday night in a month or so to take on the Saints. Drew Brees is going to be honored at that game. So that's a game where Saints fans, it doesn't matter the score, they're going to be excited to go to.
Ronnie, I got something for you. You might think I'm crazy. All right. I took a couple of friends and we looked at the Saints schedule last night. I truly think the Saints will beat the Panthers this Sunday. Okay. I truly think their next chance to really win a game is against the Panthers on November 3rd. You look at this, and then the next four after this game, the next four, I mean, they're going to be 1-0. Then I think they could be 1-4. And that could turn into 1-7, and they got to hope the Panthers, they get to go to Carolina a little bit down the road. That's where I'm sitting today. Now, certainly I could be wrong, but it just doesn't look good for the Saints, And then you got some other injuries. The A.T. Perry, that wide receiver, is hurt now. I mean, if they play Carolina and they get the win, but they get an injury or two, it could be really bad. Yeah.
So you think what for their record this year?
6-11 at best. And a lot of the writers in New Orleans, a lot of media guys all did their predictions this week, like everybody around the country's doing. There were a lot of people at 6-11, 7-10. Even that's the people who cover the Saints far closer than you and I do. We follow it. We keep up. We got people we can talk to. These people that are in it 24 hours a day just aren't optimistic.
Yeah, no, I think you're right on. I mean, over under 7.5, which is a crazy low number, and yet we all kind of think the under is still the play, and there's nothing that's really transpired in camp where you thought, oh, they're much better at this than we thought, or oh, they brought in this player and he's been amazing. No, the offensive line's been and we've had nothing but injuries. You got pup lists with some players that aren't going to be there the first 4 weeks. So, yeah, I think you're right on it. I mean, I think it's going to be a bad year. I think it's kind of Allen's last year.
And being honest, there were a couple of people thought they'd get 8 or 9 wins, but the majority had the 6 or 7. So not everybody is doom and gloom with that.
Regardless, unless you got 9, you got no shot at the playoffs with 17 games. So, you know, uh, the bottom line is everybody's predicting a non-playoff year, really, for the Saints. I mean, the only chance you have with 9 wins, I believe, is the trashy division. You hope the NFC South is disappointing, but I think Atlanta is going to be the best team in the division, and obviously Tampa won it last year with Baker Mayfield having a resurgent career and gave him the contract. He's healthy. Why wouldn't he play up to what he played like last year, if not even better? So, yeah, I think at best the Saints finished third outside the playoffs. I just can't imagine a way they get to 8 wins. It just seems crazy. But anyway, hey, Sunday's going to be fun. We start off 0-0 with a winnable game. The Dome, if you want it to be rocking, go to this one because you may not get another one.
We'll see.
TK, tell us about Tremonti's as we
Well,
get up.
Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. It'll be tough to tailgate this weekend. The weather's supposed to clear up between noon and 2 o'clock tomorrow. It's supposed to clear up. Everything's still be a little bit wet. Anything you need for tailgating, food, drink, party platters, ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls. They got it all here at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. Stop by on Jefferson Highway, right down the street from Parkview Baptist Church and School. Mike and the staff be happy to help. You got lunch special today, fried catfish. You got barbecue ribs for lunch tomorrow. Tremonti's can take care of all your tailgating, whether it's a high school game, college game, you're having people coming to the house, you're going to somebody's house. They can do it right here for you. Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. Stop by. You'll be amazed at all the things they have in here.
All right, for Tommy Christ saying, I'm Ronnie Rance. Tune in tomorrow morning on Sports Shorts Radio from 10 to noon. You download the 104.5 ESPN radio app. Listen to us anywhere in the country. If you're driving around Baton Rouge, obviously on 104.5, 104.9, or 98.1 channel 2, 98.2 on your HD dial, anywhere within an hour radius of Baton Rouge. We will talk to you tomorrow on Sports Shorts Radio, and have a great weekend, everybody. Go Tigers and Saints. We'll see you on Monday for more Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBear's Casino. Please like and share this video.